Hi, welcome to our law firm. Yes, yes. Yeah, come in for your appointment. Come on, come sit down. You can have a seat right there, okay? Great, okay. I know that you were hoping to meet with the attorney, but he's in a deposition today, so he asked if I could meet with you instead, just to get some initial information, and then I can set up a follow-up appointment with him. Would that be okay with you? Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's perfect. By the way, the deposition that the attorney's in, it is right next door, so we're going to have to talk a little bit quietly. Okay? Okay. Sorry. I just don't want them to hear what we're talking about. So, anyway, so if I'm whispering, that's why. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Well, let's just go over some initial information. I did go ahead and bring my laptop in. That way we can talk about, your situation in general, and I can get some initial information from you, okay? Okay, perfect. Good. Okay, I know that I emailed you a form earlier today when we talked about you coming in. Did you bring that with you? Okay, perfect. Okay, yeah, can I have that? Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, so let me take a look here. Okay. So yeah, we just like to get initial paperwork from you in advance, just so we have it for our file that kind of tells us the basics about you. I'll go over some of it with you today too, but for your case going forward, we'll refer to this quite a bit. So thank you for filling that out and bringing it in. Did you have any questions about it when you were going through it? Okay, on page 2, let me see. Okay, at the top, that's what you're talking about? Okay. Oh yeah, that's okay. A lot of people don't have that information right up front, and that's okay. We can get that from you later on, so just make a note of it to yourself. To look for that information, and then when you have it, you can email it to me and I'll update your file and put it on your form, okay? Okay, thanks. Do you have any other questions about the form? No? Okay. Well, let me get a little bit of additional background information from you, okay? So, when we talked on the phone earlier today, you told me that you're having a situation with one of your neighbors where you are involved in a court case that they filed. Is that correct? Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, let me get a little bit more information from you. Let me just grab a pencil really quick, and I've got my laptop here, so I'll take notes on both as I need to. Just 1 second. Okay, so just 1 moment. Oh, you did have a little trouble finding the office. I know, we're kind of hidden back here. If ever you lose your way or to the courthouse or anything like that and you have a question, you can always call me, okay, here at the office. I'll be happy to help. Okay. All right. Perfect. Okay. Now let me see. Can I get your neighbor's name? Okay. Okay. And what is the court that your case was filed in? Is that the county? Okay, that's the county. And what's the court number? Okay. And do you know the case number? Oh, you have the documents. Okay, let me see. Okay, I see that right here. Just 1 second. Okay, perfect. Okay, so the incident with your neighbor, when did that happen? Okay, in October. Okay. And about what time of day did that happen? Okay. So it was in the evening? Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. No, you're doing fine. Go ahead and tell me. And I'll just make sure that I have a narrative in your file of exactly what happened. So yeah, if you just want to fill me in on the details. Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, have you and your neighbor talked recently about the case? Okay. Okay. Uh-huh. Yeah, that's a totally typical concern. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not out of the ordinary. Lots of times when people file cases in court, they automatically put that in their petition. So just because his petition says that he's asking for attorney's fees doesn't mean you're necessarily going to end up having to pay them. So, that's something that the attorney can talk to you about more when he meets with you next week. But it is a typical concern, but that's very standard to include in initial paperwork, okay? So I wouldn't worry too much about that. I know it can be really stressful when you see those things in the paperwork you receive. Okay. Oh, that is important to note. Let me make a note of that. Okay. Okay. And I see in your initial paperwork, you have your employer down here that you've been working with them for several years. Is that right? Okay. Have you had to take any time off of work to deal with your case? Okay. Yeah, it can be time consuming. Okay. And have you received any discovery requests? Those would be things like requests for documents or questions that they want you to answer in writing, or it can be requests for you to give things like witness lists and things like that. Have you received anything like that? No? Okay. Okay. No, they don't have to serve you with that, but I just wanted to make sure if they had, that we were aware, because deadlines to respond to those things do start ticking as soon as you receive them. So we want to make sure we don't miss any of those. Yes, if you do receive those, if we enter our appearance into your case, then they'll send those directly to us. And if between now and the time that you retain us, if you receive anything like that, then you should let us know right away, okay? Okay. 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 So, let me think. Oh, yeah, that is some, Yes, you mentioned that on the phone. I did talk to the attorney briefly about that, and he said it's definitely something he'll research between now and next week when he meets with you, and then he can talk to you about it. That's something he'll have to talk to you about directly. Oh, it's fine, yeah. And yes, if you want to bring a family member or anyone like that to your meeting, you can do that. There are some concerns about client confidentiality, so for certain portions of the meeting, he may ask the person that you bring to step out into the hallway for a few minutes, but, you know, most of the time they'll be able to stay in there. Yeah. Okay. One option that we did want to tell you about is mediation. Have you ever heard of that? Okay. Just briefly? Yeah. No, it's a really good option. Basically, mediation is voluntary. The court can't make you go or anything like that, but it's an alternative way of settling cases where you stay out of the courtroom. Instead, you go and you meet with the other party and their attorney and your attorney, and you have a mediator there to help facilitate settlement. They're just neutral, so they're not biased in either direction. They don't take sides or make decisions or anything like that. They're just there to help you guys come up with a settlement to your dispute. It can help you keep out of court, and even though the mediators charge fees, and your attorneys obviously would charge you fees to be there for the mediation, it will probably be way less expensive than actually going to a trial. Yeah, because cost is definitely a factor for everyone to consider. I totally understand. So is mediation something that you might be interested in exploring for your case? Okay. Here, let me just make a note here of that, because I want to make sure that the attorney is aware. Yeah. Yeah, there are several mediators in the area that we use frequently. They're really good, and so we'd probably recommend one of those. Yeah. Well, I think that, it's in everyone's best interest to stay out of the courtroom as much as possible. So mediation is a very standard practice, and I'm sure that your neighbor's attorney would agree with that probably, and we'd be able to get that scheduled with no problem. Okay. Okay. Yes. Yes, that's something that he can discuss with you next week. And I'll definitely tell him that we spoke. I'll keep him informed as to what we discussed. I'll give him the narrative that you gave me about your situation so that he can be thinking about it in advance of your meeting. Yes. Yes, and he'll also discuss fees with you next week and things like that. So we already briefly went over that over the phone, but he'll go over it with you in more detail. Yes, we definitely want to focus on settlement of cases, try to move them through as swiftly and as amicably as possible, because the less time that you spend worrying about this case, the better. Oh, I know it's a stressful experience. It is. Hold on for just one sec. Sorry about that. Okay. Yes, it can be a stressful experience, so but don't worry. You are in good hands, and we will get you through just as quickly as possible, and for the lowest cost as possible, okay? No, I'm glad you came in, and it's no problem at all. I'm sorry that the attorney wasn't able to meet with you himself. I know he really wanted to. Yeah, definitely. So if you have any questions between now and when you come in next week, just give me a call, or you can send me an email. You have my business card? Okay, the receptionist gave it to you. Good. Okay. Yeah, you can just send me an email anytime and let me know if you have any questions. Okay? We'll see you soon. Thanks again for coming in.